Good afternoon from beautiful Hong Kong. I haven't really gotten a chance to see the actual city since 2018, and I'm so glad to be back. Today, I'm making my way back to Thailand for the second time this year. So, it was nice to give myself 24 hours to explore the sites I haven't seen in so long. When traveling to the airport between Hong Kong Island or Kowloon, there are some good options depending on your needs. But for me personally, and for most, the Airport Express MTR is the most convenient and comfortable option. As what has been known for quite some time now, you can actually check in for your flight and drop your bags here at the station in Central. But compared to previous years, it's looking like a bit of a ghost town. It was open, but I opted to get it done at the airport. But not to worry, traveling on the Airport Express MTR is very easy with large checked luggage, as there's plenty of luggage racks available. 24 minutes later, after taking in the scenery of Hong Kong's high-rises, the train arrives right at the main terminal. There are no fare gates at the airport, but instead at stations within the actual city. On a separate note, if given the opportunity, I'd highly recommend visiting Hong Kong, as it's truly an amazing city. That being said, there's no guarantee that this same magic will last for long as the years go on. Anyways, I gave myself plenty of time, just so I can check out the highly rated lounges that Cathay Pacific has here. I showed up around 4 hours prior to departure. It's pretty dead here, as it's before the evening rush. So getting my bags dropped and receiving my boarding pass didn't take too much time at all. Normally when I get lounge access, it's printed on the boarding pass. It's not unheard of, but the lounge entry was on a separate card, which the lady at the check-in desk took time to show me, and what amenities are available. Just don't be an idiot like me and lose the card like I did. Cathay Pacific has 3 business class lounges to choose from here: the Wing, the Deck, and the highly acclaimed the Pier. The Wing is the closest to screening and customs, so I went to go check that out first. Even during busy times, I found both to be very efficient and relatively quick. Both the Wing and the Pier both have separate business class and first class lounges, even with their own entrances. The Wing first class lounge has the convenience of being right outside the security, while the business class lounge, you have to go down one level. This lounge is tucked away in one corner of the terminal and has a very secluded ambience. The 12-foot walls also gives the feeling of it being so exclusive too. Yet with all this, it doesn't sacrifice any aircraft views. Besides the main seating and buffet areas, this lounge has a full cafe with a business center. Along with a noodle bar, the few dishes that are offered are made on demand. Also, there's another small buffet with more hot items available. Not a Cantonese dish, I do believe it has Sichuan origins, but dan mian noodles in a peanut sauce. I've been wanting to try this for so long, and it definitely lived up to all the hype. Spicy, creamy, and savory. Just a fantastic dish overall. After those delicious noodles, I got some more items from the cafe, just to be a little bit more fatter. The weird part to all of this is I feel that I should be paying for this, considering how generous the offerings are here. Well, after a solid hour, I thought now would be a good time to go check out the pier. Seeing as I could burn off a handful of calories, I opted on walking the whole length of the terminal versus taking the train. After reading so much about it, I knew I had to spend more time in the pier, as it's the better rated lounge. Luckily, my boarding gate to Bangkok was right outside the lounge. The pier has the same features and more compared to the wing. First, we have a buffet featuring Western options, followed by a stacked full-service bar and the main seating area. Next is the noodle and dim sum bar, which I'll get into in a sec. Along with the tea room, where there are many local and international loose leaf teas to choose from. Finally, the showers and the relaxation room. Perfect for when you have a long or overnight layover. The wing also has showers as well, but not the deck. Already, I'm liking this lounge a lot better. Yes, it got a bit busy, but there's so much floor space, it never felt too cramped. Not to mention, it gave off that exclusive feeling. Plus, it generally has a more intimate vibe, which is something I love about some lounges or bars. Seeing as I tried the noodles earlier, I went for the dim sum along with drink number 1, an Aperol Spritz, just because it's my friend's favorite drink, along with a crispy pork belly and a shrimp shumai. I personally like the noodles a lot better, but that's not to say this wasn't any good. You'll also notice that there are announcements made in here, albeit not too often. They're communicated in English, Cantonese, and Mandarin, yet it's very subtle and informative, not blaring and right in your face as you expect in the main terminal. Four hours is definitely not long enough. I truly milked my time here as much as I could.
Thank you very much.
So, after trying the flagship Silver Kris Business Class Lounge for Singapore Airlines in Terminal 3 at Singapore, I can confidently say that I like Cathay's The Pier Lounge a lot better. Right outside the lounge was the gate where this 12-year-old A330-300, originally delivered to Cathay Pacific brand new, will be taking me to Bangkok. You won't find these guys anywhere on the west coast of North America. Definitely on the Inter-Asia and Australia regions, with maybe some service to the Middle East and probably some Central European destinations. Seeing as boarding wasn't done on time, I will tell you that one of my worst flights to date was on a Cathay 330 from Hong Kong to Sydney in January 2016. It really wasn't because of Cathay though. I had the flu pretty bad and was stuck in the middle seat, second to last row, on a red eye for 9.5 hours. And it was just absolutely terrible. Not to mention this was my first time non-revving internationally, and it was 32 degrees plus humidity in Sydney when I landed. But anyways, Here's Cathay's A330 business class, laid out in a 121 config. This seat is pretty much the same as what you'd find across their whole widebody fleet, albeit an upgrade is coming soon. A lot better than the previous 222, which is still around from the Dragonair or Cathay Dragon days. While putting my belongings away, a Cathay Delight was offered, which is kiwi juice with coconut milk and mint. Absolutely delicious. Anyways, let's go over what the seat has to offer. That being said, I have reviewed this Rockwell Collins seat many times before on other airlines such as Air Canada and American Airlines, so everything filmed here is relatively self-explanatory. Although, I will mention a few caveats, like this shoe storage, which is nicely tucked away. Along with the storage cubby having a vanity mirror. Even with this older RCA and iPod hookup. The seat is for sure starting to show its age, but is still excellently reliable and comfortable. Seeing as we're delayed waiting for connecting passengers, plus we got heavy traffic flow into Bangkok, now would be a good time to start a movie, as this flight isn't very long. The IFE is definitely starting to show its age as well, but I was really shocked to see how extremely responsive it was. Even some IFE systems from 2017 aren't even this fast, as they're constantly loaded with new movies and UI updates, and that eats up a lot of memory. I really wonder what Cathay does. Well, they just probably wipe and reset the UI with every update. That's why. Besides all of that, it's still loaded with tons of new releases. This time, watching the holdovers. Still on the ground, I gotta use the lav. As to be expected on any 330, it's cramped compared to its counterparts. But this was stocked with good amenities and kept clean and pleasant throughout the entire flight. Finally, after much delay, and a solid 30 plus minutes into the holdovers, we pushed off the gate. During the delay, a passenger behind me was complaining to about 3 different flight attendants about where he was sitting and just being extremely rude in general. Look, I don't know the whole context of the story, but I'll get into that at the end of the flight. After taking off out of beautiful Hong Kong, it was time to get comfy as I've already had a super long day. Wi-Fi is available for some really good prices, but I didn't need it for this short flight. As to be expected with the old IFE, it's just a rolling map, but pleasantly relaxing classic music is played in the background when the map is on screen. Also with the short flight, the meal was all served on one tray. For dinner tonight, I went with the steamed halibut and a Cloud9 to drink. I love halibut, but normally I eat it fried with fish and chips, and it comes off a bit heavy. But this was moist and light, which is really hard to nail with halibut. The garlic bread and antipasto was a great compliment too, with the refreshing Cloud9, consisting of vodka, Cointreau, Sprite, and lemon juice. I wish they were available at every seat to begin with, but blankets are available on request, which most of the business class passengers wanted right after the meal anyways. This blanket is provided by Bamford, and is another fine addition to my collection. Speaking of Bamford, as they make Cathay's amenity kits, there aren't any provided on this flight, as again, it's fairly short. After this flight, it reminds me of the question I made in my previous video. What do I like better, Cathay Pacific or Singapore Airlines? Well, still, I like Cathay better, as mentioned by previously everything I said in this video, plus taking them for the first time in business class last year to Sydney. Let's just say I've had very good experiences with them in business class, unlike the guy sitting right behind me. Although, next year from Singapore to New York JFK on Singapore Airlines will be the true nail in the coffin between which is the best. Also, both airlines can be redeemed on Air Canada Aeroplan points. I redeemed 30,000 points plus around $150 Canadian. I'd also like to mention, as before, this flight was short. All the flight attendants were working their asses off, yet still providing a grade A service. As I said before, the guy behind me was just being extremely rude. Granted, I didn't know the whole context. Bottom line, it was wrong to treat the flight attendants with that much attitude. After business class was done offloading, I reconciled with the service director, as I just had too much sympathy. Look, I chuck luggage for a living on the ramp, yet I'm still able to have the same service as the guy behind me, which probably works for an S&P 500 company. One person, especially a fellow passenger, is no better than the next, so show the hardworking staff some respect and appreciation. Anyways, if you're flying in business class on any airlines in the Bangkok, they have a dedicated line. It just saves a ton of time, especially during the busiest times in the evening. Thanks again to you all for taking the time to watch another super lengthy video. I genuinely appreciate the time you take to watch this, as I put a lot of time and effort into making these videos. That being said, this will be the last flight review for just a little bit of time, but not too much longer. I do have more videos on the way, just not reviews, and I genuinely think you'll really like them. It's a different spin than what my usual bread and butter is, but again, I think you'll still really like it. So cheers, and I'll see you in the next one.